Happy Monday and welcome back to Life is a Vibe. Today's episode I am so excited to talk about. I wanted to sit on it for a week and really come with a clear head to talk about my first spiritual retreat experience, woman retreat experience, just all of the things experience of me attending Madi Maple's Fruition retreat that was hosted in San Diego at the beginning of October. And we're halfway through October, which is so crazy. But I really wanted to talk about my experience and share about it because it was my first retreat ever like this. And it was honestly life-changing. And now I'm like, I want to go to all of them. So I thought I would share a little bit about, some of the background about me attending Fruition, some lessons I learned, some things I want to know for next time, as well as answer some of your guys' questions. I got some questions on Instagram. So we got a lot to cover in this episode. So if you want to grab some water, grab what you need, and we're just going to hang out for the next, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I don't know. We will see how this goes. And I just want to thank everyone that has been tuning in to the podcast so far. It has really been so much fun getting back into the podcasting space, and I hope you guys have been enjoying it as well. Today, if you're watching on video, things look a little different. I'm in my boyfriend's apartment. I'm also using a Apple headphone as a mic. But we're just going with it. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to see how this does. But I made a commitment. I would get the podcast up on a Monday, no matter what it takes. I forgot my mic. I forgot some things. So we are getting it done. But the past week, as a little life update, I've just been kind of marinating in the post-retreat glow that I've just been feeling. And I haven't been super okay, I need to get to work right away. I tried to sit in that feeling as long as I could. I went to Austin City Limits Music Festival this past weekend, which was super fun. Didn't drink, didn't do anything crazy, and I'm feeling so refreshed going into a week, which is so rare after a festival. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And so now this week is all just about integrating and taking everything I learned from Fruition and starting to put it into action, which is what I'm going to share. Some of the things I learned, some of the things that came to light with Fruition, and that'll be my plan for the week, is just starting to integrate and starting to figure out what I want the end of this year to look like in my business, in my life, in my health, and everything. So I've just been kind of intaking, seeing what feels good, and now we're moving forward. So lots of exciting things to come, that's for sure. So we can go ahead and dive into all things about Fruition. So Madi had hinted about this, and I guess I'll go a little bit further on my relationship with Madi Maple. Madi is just such a fiery catalyst for so many people, including me. And what I mean by that is, well, number one, she's a generator in human design, which I am as well. And generators are here to light up the world and light shit up, basically. And when you are living in alignment with your design, it's going to attract people who also want to live like you or be like you or live in that same alignment as you. And the way I discovered Madi was when she first launched Breaking Butterfly. So I think that was 2018, 2019. And I was following Tasteful Girls, and I think Tasteful Girls had reposted it because Madi used to model for them, or she still does every now and then, but she was modeling for them. And they were like, oh my God, you guys have to check out this girl's podcast. And I was checking it out. I had started my podcast, I think. And I love that she did the butterfly. I've always related to the butterfly. So I was like, who is this girl? And I started following her, and I was like, oh, she's a raver and a confidence coach. And I think at the time she definitely looked younger than me. And I was like, how is she doing this? And so I just kind of took note of it. 2020, around fall time, I had reached out to her to be a guest on my podcast, but we couldn't quite figure out what we wanted it to look like. And, she threw out maybe going through one of her coaching programs with her, but that just didn't feel aligned for me because she was coaching on confidence and I felt pretty fine with my confidence, but I also had never worked with a coach too. So I think there was like some limiting beliefs there. And I also was just like, I feel good with like where I'm at. I was in a really good period of my life, 2020, which I know a lot of people can't say the same, but 2020 was definitely a blessing for me to work on myself. And I just didn't feel quite ready to hire a coach. So we kind of tabled that conversation, but I like still connected with her and just loved everything that she was doing. And it wasn't until the end of 2020 that I had gotten some clarity on what I wanted to do, and it was coaching. I knew I didn't want to do social media coaching though. I was like, I need to figure out what else could I do because I just did not feel aligned with content creating coaching or social media coaching. Like it just didn't feel right for me. And so I was listening to her end of 2020 podcast recap, and it was basically just about like how her business grew and all of these things. And she left like a little message at the end, basically being like, if you want to get into this world, like I'm going to start business coaching and I can help you achieve, the same that I've achieved or get you closer to that, whatever it may be. And I was like, all right, universe, I'm hearing you. This feels really good. Like, let's tune in and see what can happen. And so at the beginning of 2021, I became one of Madi's first business clients. She coached me on how to launch a coaching business. And it was just crazy because when I started working with Madi, 2 to 3 weeks later, I put my 2 weeks in. Like I had no choice but to put my 2 weeks in at my 9-to-5 that I've been at for almost 4 years because something weird and sketchy was kind of going on that I don't want to get into, but I was just like, all right, this is a sign. And so we got my business up and running. I took, some practice clients and then I fully launched in March. And so Madi and I continued to work together 2021 up until I think around June or July was when I finished business coaching with her. I was with her for 6 months. So she helped me through one-on-one coaching. She helped me through group coaching and everything and just getting my business off the ground, which I'm just so forever grateful for. I think in the fall, I went through her confidence program at Meta because even though when I was working a 9-to-5 and like when we first talked about confidence coaching, I was feeling really good. But man, when you become an entrepreneur and a business owner, your confidence gets like pretty shot because it's a new level and new type of confidence that I just did not feel secure in. And so I decided to go through her program Metamorphosis, which by the way, if you're interested, definitely let me know. I would love to talk about my experience with you. She's going to be starting around here soon. But I went through that group coaching program and honestly, it just like, again, lit the fire underneath me and allowed me to grow a lot more in my confidence basically and gave me, some things to always come back to with my confidence. Fast forward, after that program ended, I still follow Madi. We've become really great friends throughout this whole process, seeing each other at festivals and just staying connected and everything. And I think end of 2021 was when she started to throw around the idea of retreats, right? The world is kind of normaling out. There are still some things out there, but for the most part, we are gathering again. We are meeting in person again. And so she started throwing around the idea of a retreat. And I was like, I've never been to a retreat, but like literally anything Madi does, like I'm there for, you know what I mean? And I think in beginning of February this year, it was when she launched Fruition. And something about it just really spoke to me. And she was just talking about like a glamorous bougie experience with workshops and connection and just all of these things. And the dates worked for me. Beginning of October usually is ACL, but the great thing about ACL is there's 2 weekends of it. So I was like, this fits really well on my calendar. And because it's so far ahead of time, I can really plan around it. And I love San Diego. I love California. Like I always find my way back to that state somehow. And so things just felt really aligned. So honestly, the day it launched, I had this panic because I thought it was going to sell out. And so I immediately signed up. I did a payment plan and everything. I don't remember the total cost, but it was definitely, It was definitely up there, but I just knew that this experience was going to be so fun. And honestly, like, it would be the same amount as probably like a music festival, which, like, you guys know I love music festivals, but do I walk away from every festival weekend like a new person? Sometimes, but sometimes no, because sometimes it's lacking some of that personal development aspect that I'm looking for. And so in my mind, I was like, well, this just replaces a festival weekend if you really like think about it and boil down the cost of it. And in my mind, it's an investment, right? It's also something I can write off on taxes because I'm investing in myself and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I was like, you know what, this feels good. Let's sign up. Let's do it. And so then after that, it was just like the waiting period, waiting for it to come, wondering how this experience was going to be. And leading up, you know, we had a couple of Zoom calls to get to know each other with the other girls, which was super nice. So you can at least start to get familiar with who's going to be there. I knew a couple of girls going in. You know, I had a past client that joined. I had a current client that joined. I had some other girls from Metamorphosis that I knew. I also had other people that I've connected with in the online space. So I felt very comfortable kind of going in. And like, spoiler alert, before I get into it, like, our group was amazing. Like, typically when I am in a large group, I get very like nervous because sometimes I wonder if I'm going to like vibe with everyone, and I vibed with everyone. Like, there was no bad vibe detected with any of the women in this group. Not that I was worried about it necessarily, but you just never know in a group of like 17 people, 16 people, right? How are we all going to mesh together? And I'll talk more about this, like women uniting and whatnot, but like, there was no bad vibe detected. But anyway, we had those connection calls, so that was really nice. And then we had like a packing list and like a temporary kind of like schedule going into it, so we knew what was going to happen. So the time finally came, and I traveled out to San Diego. I got there super early on Thursday. I also do have a vlog on my YouTube channel, Find Your Vibe, if you want to like see this all happen in real time. But I'm just going to give you a general rundown of the schedule. So Thursday was all about just like, you know, showing up and getting to know each other, getting really comfortable. We did like a couple of icebreakers, and then we kind of went to bed early. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there was yoga every morning at 7:30. I made it Friday and Saturday. Sunday, I did not make it. And Monday, I did not make it. But I did Friday and Saturday, and that felt really good. And then Friday's vibe was all about just like letting go. We did like a welcome ceremony. Then we just hung out and did pool time. And then we did a cacao ceremony, which was my first time ever doing cacao. And cacao is just from the plant, I believe. Cacao is nothing like, no drugs or anything like that. It is simply just like a plant herb, if you want to think about it, but it's basically what chocolate comes from. So it has this like almost chocolatey taste, but without the sugar, right? So that's what cacao is, and it's meant to be a heart opener. It opens up the heart chakra. And so the woman that was leading us her name was Kaylani. She's amazing. And she just, you know, walked us through what cacao was, and we just did like a little bit of an introduction to each other again. And then we started to drink the cacao. And as we were drinking, we were journaling. And it was very simple journal prompts, but it was very eye-opening as to like where we are now, where we want to go, and what do we need to do to like release or put us into, you know, something that really scares us, but we know we need to do, you know what I mean? So it was very simple practice, but it was so like eye-opening and moving, and I cried, a couple of other women cried, and so that was kind of like the full like release, and kind of also like a oh shit moment of like, all right, like this is how we're feeling, this is where we're at. And then we did like a little dance release, we did a visualization to bring it all together, and we also pulled like affirmation cards, which was great. So that little ceremony honestly was like one of the most eye-opening parts, I think, of the weekend, because it was just kind of taking inventory of where you are, where you want to go and everything. And then I think Friday the rest of the day we ended up just chilling, hanging out, playing games, things like that. I can't remember if there's anything else. Oh, and also the food was amazing. We had a chef from Costa Rica. His name's Melchor. He was amazing. He cooked all vegan all weekend, and it was so yummy. I'm definitely inspired again to eat more fruits and veggies. So I'm getting back on my health game because that really inspired me with the meals he made, and everything was so good. I'm not going vegan again. I used to be vegan, but I love my meat. I can't help myself. And so that was basically kind of like all of Friday. And then Saturday, we were going to do a beach day. We did yoga, and then we had like a little bit of a break, just hanging out, and in between breakfast and lunch, a lot of like getting to know one another still. Like I had a whole conversation about human design with some of the women, but we were all just kind of like hanging out and resting. And then we had lunch, and then we went to the beach, and we had like a little mini workshop at the beach. We got to hang out at the beach, and then came back, and this whole day, I think, was just about like embodying this next chapter, like what would that look like, and just really feeling into what we were calling like queen energy and claiming it energy. And so that was kind of, and also just like having fun, because we're supposed to be having fun in this life. You know what I mean? And then the final day was all about creation. So we did a Make It Mine workshop, which was Jane and Maddie's masterclass, I believe that they did. And so we talked about like manifesting, and then Jane put us into this very deep and moving visualization that I was really moved by, which I don't know if I feel that called to share full details on, but it might come to light soon. But I was very moved by that and had to step away after that to just like soothe myself and calm myself after that, because it was just so powerful and healing as well. And then the rest of the day was like being in creation. So we all like got dressed up, we did photo shoots, we took videos. We also got tattoos. So I got a 444 tattoo, which if you're watching on the video on YouTube, you can see it. 444 is a really special number to me. It's a number I've always seen, and it just always means that I'm always divinely protected and supported by the universe. And it's also a number that my mom has seen for a long time. So that's kind of comforting to me that this is like a generational divine support and protection. You know what I mean? Like if she's seen it, like I'm not crazy. You know what I mean? So I also view that as, you know, my mom's number as well. So in a way is also an homage to my mom. So yeah, I got that with some little sparkles by this amazing badass tattoo artist Athena. And so I did that. We also had like a little arts and crafts. It was also a full moon on Sunday, which is just like, whoa, so powerful to be releasing and reflecting on all of these things under a full moon happening, right? Like I'm going to forever think about this weekend and also think about this full moon. Like I know sometimes astrologers are like, think back to what you were thinking when this new moon or full moon happened. And I'm like, I don't even remember. But I know with the October 2022 full moon in Aries, I'm going to remember forever. That was the vibe for Sunday, essentially. It was just creation. And it was so wild, you guys, when we were taking a group photo, a rainbow just appeared. Like a rainbow just appeared out of nowhere. And I was just like, this is nuts. And we got a photo and video of like Madi under the rainbow. I got one. That was just like, it's just so wild, the synchronicities of it all, right? And I think that was basically Sunday, just hanging out, getting to enjoy that last little bit of time together. And I really liked the balance of the schedule. Like it wasn't like we were in workshops back to back. Like there was time for connection, there was time for play, there was time for thinking and releasing, and there was time for all of that. You know, it was crazy because we said like it went by so fast, but during the day it went by so slow. Like we were just so present and so there that it felt so amazing. I ended up leaving Monday at like 11, I think, and I went to WeWork, hung out for the day, but it just really was such an impactful weekend, and I'm going to get into some of the lessons that I learned, but I wanted to give you guys the background and also share, you know, what we did and things like that. So if you have any more questions, definitely let me know, but it was 1000% worth it. And it also just was so needed because last year I was running off adrenaline, pure adrenaline, just to prove to myself that I could make my own living working for myself and not working for someone else. And I was testing out a bunch of different things. And this year I kind of was like playing it safe and also just like unsure of what I was doing. And it's okay to have years like this in your business and in your life, right? And like next year, I feel so prepped for what's to come. And I'm so freaking excited about what's to come. But this just like really put that power back into me and also really put things into perspective of what I really want and what I truly need and also what I really deserve in life. Reflecting on all of that and taking all of that in, we're not putting exact things into motion just yet, but it really is just trusting that I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and it's going to keep working out. Like there is no other option. Things will continue to work out for me, you know? So that is what I wanted to circle back to when talking about Madi as just this catalyst type person. Like she just creates the biggest changes in people's lives and she doesn't even realize it probably. She knows, but I don't think she realizes it because, you know, when I came back last week, hopping into my coaching calls, I just felt this new energy coming in that then gets to impact my clients. And that gets to then impact the people in their lives, you know, it's just ripple effects, right? And we all have that person in our life. And Madi is always going to be that person for me. And I'm so grateful to call her a dear friend. And, you know, we've gotten a lot closer through that experience. And even the other women that I got to get closer to. It was just a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Let's talk about some lessons I learned from Fruition. And I also made these so that I can also relate to you as well. So the first one is that life is the inspiration. If you live your life, you're going to be inspired. There was some periods this year where I was so work focused. I was like, no, I can't go to that festival because I'm working, or I need to focus on my business. And yes, that's true. That's okay to have that sometimes. But I think I kept myself from having fun because of my business. And I've made some changes to where I don't think that that will happen again. Life really is the inspiration. Like I went on that trip and I have so many new content ideas. I have so many new business ideas. I have so many new ideas just flowing that had I not gone on that trip, I would just be kind of sitting here twiddling my fingers, wondering what to do next. But now I have that clarity of what to do next and where to go and how to take action on it. To give this back to you that you really need to live your life and have fun, and those ideas will come to you. And life is the biggest source of inspiration for you that you can tap into just by going outside. You know, you don't always have to be working on yourself or working on these goals. You can take time off and go to the park with a friend or go on a date or whatever, and you'll gain something out of it. It's kind of similar to what I've been talking to. We're so afraid to fail, right? This was on last week's episode. We're so afraid to put ourselves out there and to fail and to look dumb or look stupid. But by doing those things, you learn so much about yourself and life itself. So I want to encourage you that it's okay to put yourself out there and just see what happens and see where life takes you, because you will be inspired. So yeah, that's lesson number 1. Life is the inspiration. If you live your life and you go and do those things you want to do, or you put yourself out there, you will be inspired. You'll be inspired by something. What is one thing you can do for yourself today that makes you feel alive? That feels so good. And that moves me to number 2. And that is the importance of divine feminine connection. And I talked about this earlier in this episode of like, I was a little bit worried when I'm in big girl groups. I sometimes don't feel heard. I sometimes don't feel seen because I try to speak up and other people interrupt me or they talk over me. Like I have always had a hard time in big girl groups, even regular friend groups, but mainly with big girl groups. I always feel like I don't have anything to contribute or that I won't be heard, so I just stay quiet compared to the other loud people in the group. So I was really challenging myself to be open and to be open to connection and to also put myself out there in groups, because I wasn't going to let my old beliefs or how things have always been ruin this experience. Like I said, everyone just gelled so well together, and it is just such a testament to when women are connected and we are uniting under the same vision, the same principle, whatever it may be, we are so powerful. So powerful. The portal that was open, that we opened together, was insane. And it allowed so much beautiful transformation, clarity, and connection come through that I don't think any of us was ready for. And the bonds that we created, the memories that we created, all of that will last a lifetime. I just feel so supported by those women that as I'm going to go through, integrating and embodying and creating after Fruition, I just feel so supported by them. And it's the first time I've ever felt so supported by such a large amount of women in a single group, and to have that in-person physical connection is just so, so important. So even here, being back in Austin, I'm like, how can I get connected with other coaches or other workers in this type of field, whether they're coaches or energy workers, Reiki, healing, whatever it may be. Like, how can I tap into a community in person here? And also doing like women's circles or things like that. So that is something that I'm really like manifesting now and searching for, which I think I have a couple of leads to do that, but it is so important to have that in person and just feminine connection with one another. And it can create such changes for you as well. And also just know that you're so supported too. So if you are someone that is lacking that currently, like, don't be afraid to maybe search on Facebook for groups, maybe search for a full moon circle or search for yogis or Reiki or whatever, and try to find maybe some of those in-person events or group meetings or things that you can connect to, because I think it is so important. And being able to unite under that vision and connection can be really beneficial for you. And also, if you are someone that's wanting to become a coach or content creator or whatever, like, it was really fun getting to talk to people who were in spaces I've been before or where I've been before. There was one girl I'm specifically thinking about. Her name's Steph, Beastin Steph on Instagram. And I remember when she was talking about her intention for the weekend, and she is in a spot right now that I was in, working a job I hated, wanting to do something and just feeling that like, I just want to be out and doing what I want to do. And I just was able to talk to her and be like, hey, I have been where you are. It's going to be okay, and just having that kind of like check, right, is so helpful to be able to connect with someone else and know like, okay, yes, like I'm good. So I'm thinking about you, Steph, in that with our conversation, right? And, she's been able to make some changes since coming back, which is really awesome to see. But, it just really is so important as women to connect with one another and find ways to connect with one another, whether it be virtual, but I think in person is just so potent and magical and just so magnetic. You know what I mean? So that's lesson number 2. Moving on to lesson 3. This was something that I wish I could do differently looking back now, but lesson number 3 is to let people support you and soothe you. I think when I had some very vulnerable moments during this retreat, I retreated within myself or I retreated to my bedroom. And I missed out on the opportunity to let people support me and soothe me in those moments, because I think I was also afraid to admit some of the things that were coming up for me. And that's something I wish I could take back, but it was what it was. And that was the experience I created for myself. But I'm so used to self-soothing myself that that's what I did. It's just a automatic thing. I grew up as an only child, so I've always been the self-soother and I've had to, do that. So I wish I could have let those moments happen and not retreated and not continue to release those feelings, because I think if I would have hugged someone in that moment, I would have just completely crumbled, and I just did not want to be seen in that way, which was another thing of being a coach and content creator and being someone with these big platforms. I did feel a shield kind of up because I didn't want people to see me in this way, when in hindsight, these women were more than ready to see me in this way and support the heck out of it and not judge me on it or think anything of it other than that I'm human, right? So that is definitely a lesson learned, is that it's okay to have that shield down, that guard down, and to let people fully see you be human and to support you and soothe you if you need it, right? I really kind of let myself down in that moment, but I don't have any regrets. I just have a lesson learned for next time. And, there was someone that also said, I wish I could have gotten more one-on-one time with you. And I was like, well, this is just the beginning, of our connection. We can build upon what we started here, which is great to know. This wasn't just all right, bye, see you guys never. We have a group chat that's still going. I've reached out to some of them one-on-one and have, just checked in and stuff. And this isn't the end of our connections. This is just the beginning, which is great to know. But that's definitely something to know for next time, is like, just let people support you and soothe you. You don't have to do this alone, which I'm so very used to, So that was definitely a big lesson learned. And number 4, my final kind of lesson that came through is, what do we really deserve? Because I feel like I've gotten complacent and a little lazy in not showing up for myself. And so I did write, I deserve to be intentional, I deserve to be present, and I deserve to have fun. And I want to instill that in you, that you deserve to be intentional. You deserve to get to take your time and do the things that you really want to do for yourself. You deserve to be present and not worry about the past or worry about the future. You really deserve to be present and fully in every single moment of your life. And you deserve to have fun. This life, we only get one chance at it, right? How can you make the most mundane thing so much fun to do today, right? And this also related to me too in like my health right now. I've been kind of lazy with eating and food and stuff like that. And like, I deserve to take care of my body and give it the nutrients it needs. Now, I have been going through a stressful period in terms of like my construction at my apartment, working out of an office, and I'm moving to a new place at the end of the month. So I think that will all help. But I deserve to be able to take care of myself in that way. So I'm definitely going to be more intentional with my food choices and things like that to really serve myself, because it is what I really deserve. That was kind of the final thing that came through, is that we deserve as humans to be able to do these things. We get to be intentional with our time. We get to be intentional with who we spend our time with. We get to be intentional about every action we take, and we can take our time. We're always rushing from one thing to the next. But how good would it feel to be intentional and be so present in that, and also have fun while we're doing it, right? We had so many like fun moments throughout the weekend and just play time and things like that, that's why I'm glad everything was set up the way it was, because it didn't just feel like I was back in school for a weekend. Like, there was a little bit of learning, there was a little bit of, body work, energy work, and then there was also fun and just like enjoying life and being inspired by it and connecting with other women. That was kind of the final thing that came through. I think there will be more lessons to come as I continue on and reflect back on this such an amazing trip, So the final thing are, just some questions. So I got a question about the cacao ceremony. So I kind of explained it. Kaylani had prepped the cacao. It was in a mug for us. And there was a whole kind of ceremony thing with it. There was also like sound bath kind of stuff with it. So I hope I explained that right, but it definitely is something you can also facilitate yourself, I believe, or you can have someone also facilitate it for you. I kind of liked having it in a group experience like that, and having like, journal prompts and things like that. I think it was very well done. Basically, that was my first time ever doing it, and I would love to do it again. Person asked, how did it compare with any expectations? Well, I don't live life with any expectations. I kind of was just like, we're going to see how this turns out. We're going to see how this goes, right? But it exceeded anything I might have had an expectation on. It was definitely worth the money, and it was definitely worth the experience. And like, honestly, it was like going to my first festival. Like, now I want to go to every retreat, any and all retreat I want to go to. So that definitely lived up to kind of, that definitely kind of gives you an idea of how impactful it was. If it's something that I like would love to keep going to, is just retreats, and also facilitating my own one day. I would love to facilitate some Find Your Vibe retreats or one-day things, whatever it may be. So we'll see about all of that. This person asked, how good do you feel now, babes? Like a brand new bitch, honestly. A brand new woman, honestly. I feel so good. I am just excited to carry this new energy and see where it takes me, but I feel amazing. This next person asked, most healing moment. Honestly, the visualization that Jane of 801 on Instagram, Jane Lyons, Queen, she facilitated a visualization after we had done the first half of Make It Mine workshop, which is all about just like manifesting and getting what you want in this life and everything. And I think that was a very healing moment for me. There were some things that came to light. Again, I'm not sure I want to share just yet, but there was also another part that was very healing and comforting on that. So that was definitely probably the most healing moment, I would say. And also the other moment that I just thought was kind of transformational was getting my tattoo. They had set up like a massage table, and it was right along, having the beach view, and it was just so picturesque. And like, I felt like I was just like an angel being born. Like, it was this weird thing because Madi was playing guitar and she was singing, and like there was other girls kind of around just hanging out. And I just felt very supported and comforted, and almost like a birthing in a way. With this tattoo, right? It just felt like I was anchoring into what this weekend will always remind me of and the lessons I've learned. And I just felt like I was just brand new, like I had gotten my angel wings or something. I don't know. That sounds crazy, but that's how I felt. And the last question I got, I'm curious about the whole schedule of the retreat, like all the different activities. Yeah, so there's just like, I think 1 to 2 kind of main activities for the day. And then the rest was just like connection time, free time, play time. We had yoga every morning, and then we would go to breakfast, and then in between breakfast and lunch there might have been like free time or a workshop, and then between lunch and dinner, same thing, free time or a workshop. So, and then after dinner, hey, it was more free time. I did like the flexibility of it all. And also, you didn't have to go to everything, but it was such a small and intimate kind of retreat that like you wanted to go to everything, and you wanted to just like get in as much as you could with all of the things that were planned. So I definitely like the balance of it all. And I definitely would recommend Fruition. I know it's going to come back, but it was just so amazing. It was such a great weekend. And I'm so grateful for Madi and Ashley and Jane and Melchor for the experience that they created for us. I will remember this weekend literally forever. Last thing I had was like for my next retreat, some intentions that I wanted to hold on to. I tried to do this and I was kind of half successful, but having one-on-one time with each girl that was there, I felt like I got some of that, and I did have some small intimate group conversations, but I think it would have been cool to have one-on-one time with each girl. Again, it's hard to like do that in the moment and plan it out right, but I think I did my best I could with the women I connected with, having some one-on-one time here and there. And I think the reason why that was hard for me is because I kind of like brain farted on getting to know people. I kind of just like had a hard time asking questions, which is so weird because I'm a coach, you know what I mean? And so I think I just want to get better at, getting to know people, which means I'm going to have to get out there and network. But I want to get better at getting to know people as well as holding space for people. So that's what was really like coming up for me in that sense. But those were all the notes I had. I hope you enjoyed this episode about my fruition experience. And if you made it all the way, I want to thank you for holding space and listening to me talk about this experience that was so transformational for me. And like I said, it's a ripple effect. So that energy I got from that trip will trickle down into my content, into my clients, and into my community, which feels really good. If you enjoyed today's episode, if you did, feel free to share it on your story and tag me that you are listening. And if you have any more questions about retreats or working with Madi or anything like that, like I said, she does have her metamorphosis program that is open for the next week. So if you're curious about her confidence coaching and working with her, like I cannot recommend it enough. But if you do have any other questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. And if you are watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are also on TikTok and Instagram if you want to follow me at Find Your Vibe 111. What else? Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. I do not have my decks with me, but I'm going to pull your affirmation for this week using this affirmation generator. My clients know I found an affirmation generator online, so I'm going to click the button and that is the vibe for this week. So the affirmation for this week is I am an important person. I am an important person. I'm VIP, baby. You know what I mean? So that is the affirmation for this week. Whenever you are down and out, just remember you are an important person. I'm an important person. We are all important people. We are all VIPs to our life. You know what I mean? So definitely carry that energy with you this week. Yeah, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have a very vibey week. Thank you so much for tuning in to Life is a Vibe. I will see you guys next week. And I want you guys to, number 1, stay vibey. And number 2, don't forget that life is a vibe. Okay, bye guys.